It's way past time I dispense some indiscriminate justice!
G'day guys, ladies and gentlemen, this is Duckville. Here we're going to be having a replay from the Korean ladder here. It is, as you can see, featuring LiquidHuk from the Team Liquid, team that's over in Korea, of course, featuring Jinro. You've got Hey Pro, Rhett, all those dudes over there who've been doing a good job over in Korea, although some of them have started to come back overseas to actually check out what is happening in the foreigner town, of course. And as we can see here, having a little chat here with his opponent, who is the red Zerg down here, is IMLosira, who has actually been doing a fantastic job in GSL, got promoted to Code S, if I remember correctly, if memory serves me. And of course, Losira actually beat Huk in Code A round of 8 in January. It was January or February. One of those he actually took out Huk, and of course these guys have actually had quite an interesting history on Battle.net themselves. They actually have played against each other quite a lot, and they've had some very interesting games, which you would may have seen if you actually tune into Huk's channel. He does stream from time to time, and as we can see here, they're just sort of having a little chat about GSL Code B, that sort of thing. Which Huk was, I think he was joking about going to. I'm not actually sure. I sort of didn't keep up with what was happening here. But this is going to be on Xel'Naga Caverns, a map which is providing some very, very fantastic games. Actually, just before we go into that, we'll just have a look here. The Hero Probe of Huk, as it has been come to know, and also is also known as the Buck Probe, because it has been very, very BM. They're coming inside, harassing workers, harassing the mineral line, doing this little trick here, which we'll see in just a second, where you jump on the mineral line, deny your opponent the mining, which they were going to be doing, and then actually jumping off. So they've actually wasted some mining time. It is very minor. I know some of the newer players, if you've just sort of started getting into the competitive scene and you see this sort of thing, it is a very minor thing which you might see, but it is very telling sometimes in the higher stages of the game, where pretty much every second counts, every mineral counts, every piece of gas that comes out of these fantastic little assimilators actually counts. So it is something that Huk has been very proud of doing, and all sorts of his random scouting patterns that he does. He's checking out what is going on here, just making sure that he's going to get this probe out of the way so that Losira doesn't kill it before the actual probe gets to spot anything useful. But we're going to have a look at what the opening builds are now. We've got just a standard sort of opening for Huk. Huk is very famous for doing lots of very sentry-heavy builds. He loves his sentry play, loves getting out, doing either the 3-gate sentry expand, which you can do against Zerg, which is pretty much a standard opening these days at the moment, where you get a few sentries out, move out to your natural, and then contain your opponent. Sorry, not contain your opponent. You sort of self-contain, given the fact that you're actually making sure that Lings can't get inside. Now, we do have a drone that has come about for Losira. He's going to put it on patrol. Actually, it's not too often you see the pro players actually put units on patrol. I'm very interested to see that, but he's going to be keeping an eye on what Huk is up to. He's going to see that some chrono boosts went down. We did see quite a bit of chrono actually saved there by Huk. He's put 2 on top of this gateway to get the Stalker out quite quickly, and of course 1 went down on the Cybernetics core to get the Warp Gate tech started as well. 2 gates going down for Huk. He's going to see if he can perhaps get that 3-gate sentry expand working, as we mentioned before. He's going to have 1 sentry popping out. We'll probably see about 2 or 3 sentries pop out. The Warp Gate tech will be done, and then we'll probably see Huk move out to the natural expansion. In fact, he may actually be doing it a little bit earlier here. A little bit different. Of course, it is good to switch up your play. Meanwhile, back at the Zerg expansion here, the Hero Probe, which had started out the game harassing the drones, has finally come back, spots this natural expansion that Losira has going, and is now going to get caught out by a couple of these Zerglings which have come along. Gets inside, does get to see a little bit of what was here, and we'll see if he can react to that. Of course, as I said, I believe he won't actually expand just yet, but he's sort of pushed down the ramp, which is a little bit interesting to see. But the Warp Gate tech is just about to finish there. As you can see, we're going to switch all these gateways into Warp Gates, warp in a few sentries, and then see how we go. The Zerglings, meanwhile, will do their best probably to try and deny the Nexus, but we'll see what happens. He is going to come in here, spots the couple of sentries that are up. Force Fields gets wasted perhaps a little bit there, and just defends against that. But the Overlord is now going to go down for Losira. puts him, it does not supply block him. Of course, LiquidHuk sort of working that sort of play into his build. He knows that that Overlord may go down, and of course, as we can see on the supply up there, he was actually ready for that. So Zerglings coming along here, some force fields going down on top of the Nexus here. This is a little bit of a, I'd say this is a bit of a LiquidHuk style to actually attack in this sort of expansion from the Protoss. You normally don't see too many Zerglings, but he actually really committed quite hard to actually trying to push that Nexus down, and he did get quite a few shots at it. Looks as if he's going to come back here and try and have another shot at taking it out. There are quite a lot of sentries here, though, so there are certainly enough force fields to hold it back, but it'll just be an issue of whether he can actually keep his sentry trigger finger on hold for the moment, because you don't really want to have to waste the force fields on these Zerglings that are coming in here, not really doing too much damage. So LiquidHuk has got a creep tumor out. He's going to probably start spreading this out quite far, and we do see, actually, there we go, that the sentry action has started already from Huk. He's come along here trying to take out whatever Zerglings he can. He's going to pick off a few of them. Some of them do go down, but 6 are going to get inside here. There is no cannon just yet. You normally do see a cannon going down around about now in this sort of position to make sure that he can defend against any sorts of attacks that may come through with Zerglings or perhaps burrowed roaches, but not going up just yet. He's probably just saving a few of his minerals just to make sure he can get it all up and running. As we do see here, Sentry Stalker Zealot combo is actually holding that Xel'Naga watchtower there, and they're just going to move back now. They've seen what they needed to see. So back at LiquidHuk's base, we have an Evo chamber going up at the back of the base. Do keep in mind positionings of buildings, guys. Obviously, in lower levels, it doesn't really matter too much, but once you get to this stage, planning out some of your buildings like this to make sure that this particular pathway is blocked is just a sign of a very high-level player. So just make sure you're keeping that sort of thing in mind when you are positioning buildings. Of course, it's very influential against games where you're playing against the Terran. As we can see here, once again, LiquidHuk positioning that spawning pool beautifully, just to make sure that things like Reapers can't actually run around the back. Now, one thing you want to do be careful of is actually sort of blocking off a section. If you get dropped and you don't actually have any units to come in and sort of get a range attack off, you can actually sort of self-block your units out, so that you can't actually defend against that sort of thing. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're doing that sort of particular strategy, that sort of style, which these guys have gone to great lengths to work into builds and that sort of thing. So Huk now moving out. He does not have a pylon anywhere just yet. I'm a bit surprised to see that there is no pylon around to support this attack. It is just a 3-4 gate sort of attack for the moment here. Some Zerglings getting inside. A little bit of mismicro here from Huk, not actually picking up those Zerglings, but he's got other things to do. As we can see, beautiful force fields going down. This is what I was talking about earlier, where Huk loves to come in, has some beautiful force field play, holding out the Zerg forces there, just making sure that they can't come inside and attack any of these units. They're capturing a couple of those roaches, which is beautiful to see. That's one thing which Huk does in a great proportion of his games, actually doing that sort of attack. It looks as if he is going to retreat through the backdoor path here, and he's going to try and get away. That is, of course, known as the John the Translator Common Knowledge Hallway in the GSL from Artosis and Tasteless themselves, blocking off this direction here, taking out the Overlord that was actually sitting here, and he's now going to go actually sneak his way back through the other direction. Meanwhile, the roaches actually went all the way up there, so he's actually going to block out some of these roaches. This will be fantastic if he can take out some of these lings here. Takes a lot of them out. He's now going to block out some of these roaches, and the roaches are still going to do a lot of damage from that low ground there because they can see, but they are going to be blocked out for the moment, and perhaps this queen will go down. This will actually be pretty big for Huk if he can take out a few more units here. This has definitely been worth its weight in gold. He has been beautifully force fielding these roaches out. That is actually just phenomenal force field. So make sure you are on top of those roaches, making sure that they are kept out of the battle there. And now he has come along, still putting down the force fields there. He's probably going to lose most of these sentries now that he is starting to lose all his energy. As we can see, those were the last 2 force fields, and they're about to fall down in just a second. But he's certainly done a whole heap of damage. If we have a quick look at the units lost tab, 78 units have been lost. Obviously, that's a total of the drones and the Zerglings. Of course, Huk with some beautiful micro there, pushing away those sentries just to make sure that they do not go down if possible, but I think they both will. But we'll be keeping an eye on these stalkers which do get inside here, still trying to target away some of these drones, taking out a couple more before that attack is finally deflected. And that has been an absolutely beautiful attack there by Huk, just taking the advantage of the force fields there, getting some good positioning on his opponent there. As we saw, he actually sort of came inside the hallway here, blocked it off. His opponent thought he was going to go around the other side, but then actually came back through and then blocked all of his roaches out, which is just awesome to see. Now we do have a couple of cannons going down here. Some Immortals have popped out for Huk while he's been battling all the way down there. He has been keeping his micro up, as we can see on the APM tab. Both of these guys with very high micro APM, sitting up there at around about 2,500 there, sort of sitting around the 250 for Huk and around about 236 for LiquidHuk. But LiquidHuk is actually, when he played, he if I remember correctly, he played in Brood War and actually had a very, very high APM for a Brood, even for a Brood War player, which is obviously tend to be a little bit higher than what we see these days in StarCraft 2. But it looks as if an attack force is going to start moving out here from Huk. Perhaps he's going to just clear out the rocks for that gold. I'm not actually sure, but it looks as if he will be moving out here. His opponent's forces, of course, consist of roaches for the most part, and LiquidHuk has actually had to spend a lot of his lava actually recuperating all of his drones, getting all them back into fashion and getting them mining, because of course if you don't have those drones there ready to start mining, you're going to start losing out in battles, because you're not going to have the minerals to produce your attacking units, of course, which is one thing which we do see here from LiquidHuk is that he's actually just fallen down quite far in his actual army count here. We've actually got a total of 20 roaches around at the moment. A few are on the way. 28 stalkers for Huk currently sitting on the battlefield here. They do have +1 to their weapons upgrades. There are 5 Immortals currently out at the moment, with a couple more will probably be on the way shortly. Not just yet, but getting a bit ahead of myself there. But he's certainly got the army advantage for the moment. But Huk's going to need to get this third expansion up and running, which he is attempting to do now. Trying to get some sentries down there was LiquidHuk, coming through with some Zerglings, picking off one of the sentries, which, you know, that's not bad considering there are 28 stalkers sitting around here waiting to punch on. But he's doing his best to get back in the game, because let's face it, he is in a bit of a detrimental position here, LiquidHuk, at the moment. He's against the Protoss, who is about to hit up his third base. He's only just starting to get his own third base up and running, and he is doing quite well on upgrades. So he does have Burrow. So Burrow is there. Blink is on the way though for the stalkers. Although actually, interestingly, Protoss shields are on the way. So Huk actually getting shields upgrades. I actually. It's very uncommon to actually see shields being upgraded. That's what I was looking for there. But we do have an attack here in the middle. Some force fields were very late there from Huk. Of course, his sentries got caught in the back as they're very slow units, and of course the stalkers get in front and they get a bit impatient getting into battle. But we do see the battle finally starting out here. We do have Huk in a decent position. He's got so many Immortals that'll actually just rip apart these roaches, and they do that indeed, and he is going to definitely win this battle for the moment. LiquidHuk is going to have to pull back. I want to see a pylon down here from Huk, or perhaps a pylon over here so he can warp in some extra units at the back, but he's not doing that just yet. He is going to warp in some more stalkers across to the side though. That +1 to shields upgrade is almost done. I'm still sort of in awe of why he's getting that one. It's normally you do not see that upgrade happening at all until quite late game. An observer comes across, spots the roaches that were burrowed underneath, catching a few of them out with some beautiful Pokemon force fields there, catching them all. And he is going to clean up a few of those roaches, but I think that'll be it for the moment here. But LiquidHuk has been plopping up his Ling count. Looks as if he might try and come in here, try and attack this expansion here, see if he can pick off some probes maybe, or perhaps he's got something else in mind. There are no Banelings, but the fourth expansion, at the gold for LiquidHuk gets picked up. Roach somewhere just hanging out there, not really sure what that guy was doing. But LiquidHuk is going to have to get all of his defensive units back in play here, because he's about to be absolutely annihilated by this extremely heavy Protoss Death Ball here, and it's a different kind of Death Ball. Normally you see Colossus and that sort of thing mixed in with this, but this time he's actually just got a lot of Stalkers, a lot of Immortals here. LiquidHuk getting good position, in fact, on all of these units, but the force field's still just denying that concave a little bit for some of these Zerg units, and I think this may actually be the end for LiquidHuk. These Stalkers are doing a little bit of blink action there. He's just trying to keep some of them alive, but he's actually starting to lose a lot of his Immortals, and the Immortals starting to go down. There it is, a GG from LiquidHuk. It's good to see Huk get a win against LiquidHuk. I think lately it hasn't been too favourable, but just a fantastic build there. I think we can essentially nut that all down to that one attack that took place here at the natural expansion for Huk, denying those roaches, keeping them out of the battle for we could say that was at least 2 minutes, or maybe that sort of mark. I don't know. I don't have a watch on, but Roaches being kept out of the battle there were a little bit of fantastic micro there from Huk, and took out so many drones. Put LiquidHuk quite far behind on the drone count, and then of course that became the army count. Of course, being a Zerg, you have to make the decision to drone or to make some units. So good little game there from these two players. Hope you guys liked that one. As mentioned in one of my other videos, I'm going to start doing a little bit more of Korean replays, that sort of thing. We'll try and head in that direction. We'll try and keep this channel on the C and Korea frontier. If you're into that sort of thing, let me know. Let me know if you're wanting to see these sorts of games a bit more often. Of course, we do see these high-level players like Huk and some of the other Liquid boys hanging about. But if you're into that, let me know. If you have your own replays you want to see, or you want to see some more analysis of maps, I have done a little bit of map analysis on some of the team games. Let me know and send them through. Hope you guys like that one. Cheers.